All right, my friend. So imagine this for a second, right? Imagine you walk into this food court in the middle of a mall and there's people everywhere. Now, you and I were sitting down and we're eating some lunch, right? And we're looking around, and it just so happens that they're not average, normal people that are sitting around us. They're all carbon copies of your perfect client. They all have the problems that you know how to solve. They all want the things in their life that you know how to get them. And they all have budget, are all, in pain, essentially needing help. Now, I go to you, I say, hey, dude, jump up on that chair, give these people your offer, go and make some business. What do you say? Now, I know this is a pretty strange way to start a video, and I'm doing it to bring awareness to a big problem, okay? My name is Chris Finley. If you don't know me already, you may have seen some of my stuff, maybe not. Look, I just want to say this. I don't like wasting people's time. I hate it if I get onto a video or a training and it's pitchy and it's like, somebody dragging things out and taking way too long to get to the point and not actually delivering any real value. So I'm not going to do that on this call. What I'm going to do is actually going to work with you and I'm actually going to help you out in this domain. Okay, so let's jump back to this for a second. If you want to pause the video, give this a go. Give this little pitch a try. I'd love you to do that because this will bring awareness to where you're actually at. And you may have this mastered. You may be a great speaker or you may not be at that level yet. Generally, when I work with people, often I put people through this test in the early stages. And what I see most of the time is people fall flat on their face, frankly. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to deliver it in the right way. They come across sounding really salesy, really pitchy. They don't create any empathy. They don't tell any story. And when I ask them at the end of it, how many of those 100 people do you think signed up? Generally, they tell me about one, two, or none is the most common answer. I even had a lady tell me one time she thought she got negative numbers. That's how bad her pitch was. And this is a person that's wanting to expand the message out online on the internet. Do you see how much of a problem that is? So what I do is I work with people to get this stuff on point, messages, offers, get it all dialed in, get it all streamlined. So when you actually communicate to people, you don't only get their attention, you actually engage them, you actually create desire, you actually build relationship with those people so they get to the point where they actually want to work with you. And then sales and all this stuff that's like a game of pulling teeth and chasing for most coaches becomes this easy process of enrolling people, meeting people, and putting them into your program essentially. It shouldn't be hard work. It shouldn't be heavy lifting, right? But it all comes back to your ability to communicate your powerful, relevant, clear message in the right way that is received well by people. So I want to show you a couple of little reactions that when I actually do this for people. So what I like to do is I like to actually ask people a bunch of questions about who they're serving. And then I like to ask people what their story is, because you're probably a coach, right? You're probably doing this whole thing because you're inspired by something deep within. You've probably been on the path. You've probably been through some crap. And your parts of your story are all mixed into what you're doing, your product now, right? You're probably helping facilitate transformation for people, transformations that you've gone through because of pain and challenges that you've experienced in your life. So when I take people's story and I take their avatar and I put it together into a message and I deliver it, here's the type of reactions that I generally get from people. So the title of this training today is The 3 Ancient Secrets That Transform a Mediocre Message into a Mesmerizing Masterpiece. I know that sounds cheesy. I know there's a lot of M's, but this is legit what we're going to go into in this training. How do you do it? How do you create that type of thing that I just showed you? And more so, I'm going to show you how to do this without using any marketing jargon or any manipulation, because if you're like me, you want to stand out. You don't want to be like every other dude on the internet saying the same old pitchy thing that everybody says that just turns people off, right? That just makes people just develop this ad blindness, right? You want to be different. You want to be unique. You want to be sounding like every other marketer, okay? So what we're going to look at before we dive in, I'm just going to show you some examples of how this works when people actually get the hang of this. So the 5 guys I'm showing you here all came to me, coaches wanting to acquire clients, wanting to get their message out there, but they had missing pieces and they were all at zero. All of them had 0 clients. Philip, top left, was taking calls with people every week, about 5, 6, 7 calls. He hadn't closed a single sale when he came to me. Everybody he was meeting, they weren't the right fit for his program. It was like pulling teeth. It was hard work to try even get a couple of $100 off someone, let alone $3,000, which is the cost of his program. So he was getting totally burnt out with this constant feeling of rejection. Why? Because the message that he was communicating was attracting a certain type of person. Okay? Do you see that? So you don't want to attract tire kickers. You need to know what to say in the right way to attract the people that you want. So when we got the hang of this with Philip, 13 guys in his program now, €3,000 pop. That's €39,000, and he's got 2 sold out events as well. Did this in about 3 months through working with us, getting the stuff on point. Everybody else here, I'm not going to tell you all the stories, but they're all powerful, inspirational stories. Sam now has 5 high-paying clients. all at £2,500 sterling. His program's called A Sober Rebellion. Before he came with us, he wasn't sharing his story, hero's journey. He wasn't tapping into all the power that he had, which was around addiction and the stuff that he'd overcome. He was just saying, I'm a coach, basically. I'm a health and lifestyle coach, and nobody was connecting with it. Arno here in the middle couldn't communicate properly when he came into the program. As you can see now, he's writing very clearly, very cleanly. It flows well. 15,000 euro in sales after his launch. He did those sales in less than 2 weeks. You got Jacob along here. 5 weeks into the program, he had already done $16,000 in one single week. All right, that was from zero. Lawrence on the right, first 6 weeks in the program, did 9,000 euro in sales. Now after 5 months, he's tripled that thus far. So, why is messaging important? Okay, look, people are more guarded and skeptical than ever, right? Their BS radars are on full tilt. Okay, they don't want to see the same old thing from the same old people. There's more competition than ever, and this is why their BS radars are on. There's a lot of information, people are getting bombarded, and if it does come to actually working with someone, well, people have a lot more choice and a lot more access to information than ever before. Okay, and now finally there's more noise than ever before. There's a lot of distraction, there's a lot of stuff going on to even get somebody's attention for a second. So the consequence of this, attention spans have dropped from 20 seconds to 2 seconds in the last 20 years, right? 2 seconds is what you have these days on social media to get to make it work with someone. People need to consume at least 30 minutes to 3 hours of content before they're ready to buy. They have to get to that level of solution awareness. That the required thing here is time and consumption, and need time consuming your stuff. So that message has to be on point, right, throughout. It can take as many as 90 to 180 days and up to 20 points of contact before somebody's ready to buy, meaning they need to see your message over and over again over a period of time. Has to be consistent, has to be clear, has to be relevant. So the solution, right? You've got to be better than everybody else that's out there. You've got to be on point. You've got to be able to break through the noise and wake people up from their vegetated state and get them to actually pay attention, get them to actually see the importance of what you're doing, get them to actually take it seriously. What do you need to do that? You need to be unique. You need to be authentic. You need to be powerful. Your message has to be emotional. You got to communicate it fast. It's got to be clear. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be relevant. You got to be hitting the right pain points, talking directly to someone's problem, and you got to be painting pictures of what people actually want, not what your solution does necessarily. What do people actually want? And it has to be consistent throughout. Okay, so the result, when you get the hang of all this stuff, people actually want to buy your stuff, right? You're actually going to have a desire to work with you, and that's going to be the big game changer in everything. Okay, when people hear you talk and hear you sharing your message in a powerful way, when they see themselves inside your story, they get it. And they're like, okay, this is someone that can really, really help me on the path, on getting what I really want in my life. That all comes back to your ability to communicate powerfully. So let's take a look at these 3 ancient secrets to turn your mediocre message into a mesmerizing masterpiece. You may have heard of this one before, the hero's journey. We've all heard of this. This is the same structure, the same script that every Hollywood movie has followed for the last couple of decades, right? Joseph Campbell, storytelling. There's a reason 90% of successful movies, and all the successful movies that we've ever known, from Star Wars to The Lion King to Harry Potter, they all follow the arc of the hero. Okay, and they all have a certain sequence of events. You need to know how to tell your story in this way. You need to tell your story in a way that captivates people, that's relevant to people. And more so, you need to take those principles and take that stuff and then move it into the social game, which is developed in a quick, snappy, powerful, relevant way. Okay? This gives you the ability to break down people's walls, so you can actually get past the big guarded moat that's around the castle, and you can actually get in there, right? Think about like a Trojan horse. Story is the thing that opens the gates. That's what allows you in there. If you don't have story, if you don't have something for people to remember you by, you're nowhere. Okay? Ancient secret number 2. Visuals and models, or in other words, symbology. What have people used? Mayans, the Egyptians, since the dawn of time. Okay, symbology, right? Think about Aboriginals painting pictures of bears and lions and all this kind of stuff on, maybe not lions in Aboriginal Australia, but whatever, on caves, right? For us these days in the modern space, you need to be able to show people a path up the mountain. Okay, and why do you need to do that? Because visuals are processed by the brain 60,000 times faster than words alone. You're probably on this video, you probably engage in my stuff because of visuals, right? That's what caught your attention, that's what drew you in. I say a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's worth a lot more than that. Okay? If you can show someone a clear path up the mountain, all of a sudden it starts to make sense. All of a sudden they can see how to get what they actually want in their life, it becomes clear. Okay. So what do I use? Well, I use models like this to show someone how to build a coaching business from literally point A to point Z, scaling it up. I show people this, how to build your offer and structure your business in the right way, the phalanx formation, tightly packed structure that Alexander the Great used to use. Being man's system, this is how to create balance in your life so you can go all in on your mission with full force and potency and energy. The lighthouse method, this is how to tap into an ice cold market and move someone along the dial 1, 2, 3, all the way to the point of the close of the sale. The psychological triggers, the things that need to be, the boxes that need to be ticked in people's heads before they're ready to buy. These are all processes, right, that I show people, right, and immediately people see it, they get it, it makes sense. So use visuals. That's the second secret. Third secret, have a system. Okay, so a lot of people are just rocking up. You see the way I'm working through this? Okay, I'm not just starting with a random thing. I'm not sending out a random social media post that doesn't have structure, that doesn't start with the right type of sentence that appeals to human psychology and the way humans like to intake information. A lot of people, a lot of coaches, they come out and they talk about, here's my solution, here's why this thing is great, and here's the benefits and the stuff that you're going to get, and here's the 5 steps to get. Well, people don't care about the solution before they first care about the problem. Okay? And the only way they're going to care about the problem is if you've been able to build connection, empathy, if you've been able to open the gates of that castle. You've been able to speak to their pain. That's what creates relevancy. And then you can engage people into their problems, and then you can talk about your solutions all day. But if you don't do that, nobody's going to listen to the solutions. Okay? So we have to follow a structure. The structure I use is called a call to arms pitch template. Very powerful, created it myself, works absolute gangbusters. It's the thing that I was using that you saw those people reacting to at the start of the video. Okay, it's very simple, but you have to get the hang of it, right? You have to put the right pieces in the right order in order for it to be received properly. Okay, so what do you need to make all this work? Look, there's really these 3 core things, and a lot of people, they just miss these things. So let's start down here with the market. Who are you serving? Who are you for? Okay, the coach that wants to serve everybody. I'm a life coach and I help people sort of do this sort of stuff. Nobody wants to be served by that person. If you look at the Modern Warrior Implementation Program, everybody that I work with, they're all similar vibe, right? It's a tribe, similar psychology, similar type of person. Why? Because I'm speaking to a certain market, certain psychology. Okay, so you got to understand who your market is. Where are they? What are they into? What are they interested in? Do they have budget? What are the big pain points? Where do they want to go in their life? What are the things keeping themselves up at night? What are they scared of? What do they really want? What are the big problems that when you kind of poke at, they're like, oh shit. Okay, you have to know this person. If you don't know this person, if you don't know who we're speaking to, the message is never ever going to connect. So that's the first port of call, right? Dialing that in, who are you talking to? Second port of call, message. Right, everything that we spoke about before, gotta be on point, gotta be communicated with potency, at the right frequency, at the right time, and you gotta run through that whole call to arms, and it has to be consistent. You have to do that multiple times. Okay, so you imprint that message into people's minds, so they know what they're coming to you for. Finally, once you have that message market match, we call it, right? That is the key to making marketing or making social media posts work, right? And to be able to not just find one person, but to be able to scale, because you spoke to a certain person, but there's multiple more of them right now. And now your message can actually hit with many, many people like it does for us inside our program. Once you have that dialed in, you've now got the machine, right? Now this is how do you actually deliver that message to that market. Okay, so when I'm talking about a machine, I'm talking about building something that actually does that for you. See, most people are out there, and this is okay, this is important in the early days, using their manual human energy, talking to people, texting people, Facebook groups, and posting and all this kind of stuff, trying to drag people in. But over a certain amount of time, and I noticed because I've worked with over 2,000 coaches over the past 3 years, most of the time that leaves people completely burnt out because they get really tired of doing that over and over again. Ultimately, you want to build assets that communicate that message to that market over and over again. And you want a system that warms people up for you, that indoctrinates people up for you. So when they actually get to the line, when they get to you, they already know your system. They already know what you do. They already know how you can help them. And they show up to that call, and you just got to sign them up. You just got to meet them, help them feel seen and heard, and then actually just get them into your program. Okay, it's not that complex, but you need a machine to actually deliver that message to those people, because if you're just using social, it's never going to be guaranteed that that message is getting to them in the right way, the right time and place. If you use an email, paid marketing, top of the newsfeed, people are seeing those messages whether you like it or not, and you're going to build authority whether they like it or not. Now, you may not be there yet. You may not be ready for paid marketing, and that's okay. Message market is still completely relevant for Facebook groups, social media, organic stuff, right? Email, if you're using email, it's all important, okay? The machine is really the third final piece. And that's when you get to the level where you're like, look, I've got proof of concept. I've got this dial in. I know who I'm serving. I've got enough of them. And now I want to scale. Now I want to grow, right? So these are the three pieces that you must dial in. A lot of people, they don't know who they're serving. They don't know what to say to them. And they don't really know how to get that message to those people over and over again, right? So this is what we help people do. We help people do a lot of things. We help people with mindset and sales and stuff as well. But these are the fundamental pieces that when you get these together, you start to get the results like we saw at the start of the video. So are you ready to dial all this in so you can start hitting $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 months like the guys that you saw at the start of the video? If that's you and you're tired of using your own manual human energy to grow your business, tired of meeting with people that aren't quite the right fit, tired of knowing that there's a lot of people out there that you know how to help, but there's no demand for what it is that you're doing. If you're tired of all of that stuff, you want to create demand, you want to create consistency, you want to create certainty, you want people booked into the calendar every single week, people that know you, like you, trust you, people that are aware of your system, people that get the work that you do, people that know that you know how to provide results so you can actually make that sales call easy, then here's my invitation to you. Come and have a chat with us, because this is what we do week in, week out. I will literally personally sit down with you for 45 minutes and I'll go through Message Market Machine. I'll ask you who you're serving. I'll ask you to tell me everything about them. I'll ask you about your story, about your hero's journey, and I'll put the pieces together. And then we can start working on that template. We can pull out the call to arms and we can start playing around with the food court shout out and seeing how we can get that to work. Okay, we'll put it all in order and you'll leave there knowing who you're serving, right? Knowing how to speak to them. And then we'll actually even look at a strategy as to how you're actually going to get this message to those people now, right? So we'll look at, depending on where you are, because it's different strokes for different folks, right? If you're at a small revenue, just starting out, it may be more organic stuff, social media, right? Relying on your network and getting out to people that you know, or it may be a bit of a Facebook group organic strategy. Or if you're already kind of off the ground, you're already kind of looking to really grow bigger, you have proof of concept, we'll look at the best assets and the best type of funnels that are working really well right now for ourselves and for our clients, right? And this is going to be individual for you, because you may be good at writing, speaking, different things, right? Different strokes for different folks. It depends on where you are in your journey as to what is the best strategy you should be running. But if you want to figure that out, you want to talk with myself or with my partner Jimmy or my partner Matt, there's three of us that work here at the Modern Warrior. We work with small groups week in, week out in a very, very intimate setting. We're very particular about who we work with. People are very particular about working with us as well. That's the way it goes. That's the way it should be. So like, if you want to come and chat with us, I just want you to know there's not going to be any pressure to jump into the Modern Warrior implementation program. If you don't want to do that, if it's not the right time for you, that's perfectly fine. You're welcome to come and have this conversation anyway. We'd be happy to help you out anyway. And look, if it's something that really, really resonates with you, of course, we'd love to bring you into the program and we can talk about that at the end of the call. But there's not going to be any obligations to do that, okay? So that's it for me today, my friend. Hopefully you got some clarity here about all the different pieces that you need to dial in. And look, if you want to come and do that session with us, absolutely no obligations, totally free. Click down below and fill out that form, and hopefully we'll get you in there in the next day or two, and we'll go from there. All right, my friend. Talk soon.